Vitality Netball wins a bronze medal for the England Roses. New Zealand netball stand tall.
Oh, already! How crucial could that be? Oh, you can't give her that space.
But now she doesn't miss. Great passing, great shot.
Oh, ridiculous.
Yes, you're not going to miss that one.
Big players, big moments. A quantum leap into the final for New Zealand. Rose's hearts are broken.
The England Roses have arrived under the helm of Jess Thirlby. Chelsea Pittman is back in the fold. What will we see from them today? They're up against the world champions New Zealand. They have a new captain as well, who we'll speak about very shortly. We are live from the Motorpoint Arena, England, New Zealand, here on Sky Sports. We're one match down here at the Nations Cup, and that first game went to Jamaica. It was 59-54. They were up against South Africa. A great match, and we're looking forward to this second game. I'm here with Tamsin Greenway, Lisa Alexander, the Australian head coach, and Amma Agweze. Ladies, this one's going to be a close one. We've got a mixture of youth and experience in both sides. Lisa, I'm going to come to you first. You obviously played New Zealand in the final of the World Cup, Australia losing out by just one goal. Just tell us, over the many years that you played against New Zealand, how tough are they to play against?
I think what has happened to them is that, particularly since Nolene Toura, Dame Nolene Toura has taken over as coach, is that she's brought that real understanding of high performance, and particularly around their physical conditioning and training. It's always been a little bit of a question mark on the New Zealand team, but certainly over the last 12 months they have improved in that area out of sight, and match it obviously with our Australian Diamonds and with everyone in the world.
Yeah, their physicality, they're almost upon us as well. We're almost taking part in their training session, which is exhausting. They've come here, and they've come here without some big names. They're under the captaincy of Ekenasio, who was voted in by all the players, all the teammates as well. It was a unanimous decision. How do you think they'll fare over the next few days here in England?
Well, look, picking up on Lisa's point, yes, they've definitely improved from the physicality side. And when Nolene came in, she talked a lot about their fitness and so that's part of their training, not just about playing the game, but for me they got their culture and the style back, and you've alluded to that with how they voted in Ekenasio as their captain. Yes, they're missing big names, they're missing Langman, Folau's retired, Rory's not here, so there's some real key players, but that culture and the style of play that Toura has brought in was unstoppable at the World Cup, and you saw this momentum that kind of flowed through the week, and that belief. What'll be interesting today without those big names is, has she done enough with this new group? Do those players believe in that style? Can they perform the way that she wants them to play tactically? And how seamless that's going to be. If they are seamless, as I'm expecting them to be, they'll be a force to be reckoned with this week.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Jess Thirlby's side. Obviously, we remember the England Roses losing out to New Zealand in that semi-final by just 2 goals. Let's get some of the thoughts from some of the players on that defeat, but then going on to beat South Africa in that final game.
England are about to see their hopes and their dreams shattered.
Making the semi-final of a home World Cup was an amazing achievement for us, and we believed that we could go the whole way. Knowing in those last 30 seconds that our dream had been taken away from us, losing to New Zealand was obviously gutting.
Quantum leap into the final for New Zealand. Rose's hearts are broken.
We were just devastated. It was our home World Cup. We really wanted to do it for the fans. New Zealand played the perfect game, and just such a great story for them. And we had a poor start, and we just couldn't quite find that form on the day.
I burst into tears from what I remember, and Joe just giving me a cuddle and saying like it's not over yet.
Sometimes you fail in life, you can't help when that happens, and it's about like how you pick yourself up, and I just found it as a real challenge because we had to pick ourselves up within 24 hours.
Getting back to the hotel, there were still people waiting for us that evening, and I think that was just incredible for me, just to kind of sit there and see that everyone's still supporting us.
And Serena was really important in making sure that we all came together and realised, you know what, this has been such a good World Cup. It's been at home, we've had all this support, we've had all this attention. Let's go out and we can still give so much more here.
I woke up It's a new day. I felt determined, and I thought, this is my time to lead and like show how you fight, and that's something I've learned from my mum all the way through my life. Like, she's a fighter, and I was just going to get out there and fight, and I loved the game. Like, it was another opportunity to play for your country in front of an amazing crowd. The last game of a home World Cup, and we were just going to make the most of every second of it.
Getting to start in that bronze medal match was a huge moment. I remember when they called like wing attack and my name, and I got to run out and you just hear the crowd cheering. It was just, gave me goosebumps, and it still does thinking back to that.
We just wanted to play to our potential and not let anything that had happened the day before get in our way, and it was just one determined group of ladies, and that just filtered throughout the team.
Serena Guthrie's leaving the court. The captain. The hard work's been appreciated.
I could see Serena cramping from leading up to it. I thought, come on, Bob, you've got this. I kind of wanted her to have that moment. Just coming on and, hearing the roar and being around that environment, it was just incredible, and I will never forget that memory.
I think the Rachel Dunn chant was probably one of my highlights of the World Cup. It was just brilliant, and she's so the perfect character that all the fans love. And I think just the way that the fans got to know us all and support the team, and Serena as such a inspiring captain that she was, and the way that Liverpool really embraced netball and just got behind the competition was so lovely.
Once you know you've got that lead and you've got a few minutes to go, it's like it's such a nice feeling that you can actually enjoy it. You just can let the ball go, there's no worries, and you can actually let yourself really hear the crowd.
The buzzer goes! Tracy Neville wins a bronze medal for the England Roses.
This is what I love, and I just can't believe I'm here. Like in Liverpool, half an hour away from my house, all my family are in the crowd, and just soaking up every second, because you never know when your last match is going to be. Just really enjoying it.
Well, it was an incredible atmosphere in Liverpool, and the Roses picking up the bronze medal. This is the starting lineup for the Roses. Over to you, Amma. What do you make of that combination, that goal defence, goalkeeper? How do you think that relationship will cope today?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Kate Shimmer getting a nod at goal defence starting. We heard Jess Thirlby saying that she's performing well in training, so I'm interested to see how she performs. Stacey Francis is a great reader of the game and will come out for interceptions, so it'll be key that Shimmer does a good lot of hard work in front of her. Also notable that Chelsea Pittman's starting from the bench. I think she's one of the key players who's been in the England squad, and actually she's come back and made herself available for selection. So Nat Haythornthwaite starting at goal attack as the captain will have a big job to perform and do.
Obviously, many girls are playing in the Suncorp, Lisa, as you spoke to Caroline Barker about in commentary. We'll just move on to the New Zealand side for now, and so much experience in that side, even though they've left a few girls at home.
Oh, very experienced lineup. They've actually slotted in some top players straight into that team, so you should see them being able to perform like clockwork again. I expect to see that.
We've got Maya Wilson there with Ekanasio. Do you like that combination?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest talking point for me in that Kiwi side. Not having Folau now, who they've relied on for so long. Ekanasio in her strongest position for me at goal attack. So I want to see what Maya Wilson can do, because I think we've actually seen the best of Selby Rickett and of Maz. We know at home we've got some Kiwi young shooters coming through the mould, and I think you'll see that over the next few years. But for me, I think we need to see what Maya Wilson can actually do out there.
Okay, when you look at the defence, Jane Watson, Karaka, I mean, they're no pushover, Amma, are they?
No, and Karaka has such flair, and I think she's maturing as she gets older, so it's key for her that she performs well. Unfortunately, one of the New Zealand players has been sent home because she's got an injury, and so they've only got 3 defenders available for this game.
Okay, well, both teams are out on the court. They're about to do the national anthem. Can England beat the world champions? It's all to play for.
I had a way then, losing it all on my own. I had a heart then, but the queen has been overthrown. You show the lights that stop me, turn to stone. You shine when I'm alone.
New Zealand netball stand tall. You're back on the top of the world.
last played each other in the World Cup, and New Zealand beating England by 2 goals in that semi-final game. It's the second game of the Nations Cup. If you're just joining us, Jamaica victorious over South Africa in our first game. We're here in Nottingham, in Birmingham on Wednesday, and at the Copper Box Arena in London on Saturday and Sunday. They're all playing for this.
Let's make some noise for our members of the UK Armed Forces, with representatives from the Army, Navy and Royal Air Force, and the Vitality Netball Nations Cup trophy. How this is gonna go.
Well, as they make a variety of announcements here in Nottingham, the players are about to come out onto court. I'm here still with Tamsin and Lisa. Emma's dashed off to join Caroline Barker in commentary. But Tamsin, a player to look out for from the England side for our viewers.
I think looking at it, look at your captain, Nat Haythornthwaite. Emma spoke about Chelsea Pittman, but for me, Natalie Haythornthwaite is now that linchpin in the attack end. She's the creative player. She's the one that plays without fear. She's playing with so much confidence, and I think that captaincy has helped her grow into that position. So I think she'll be key to really open up that defensive end, because we know that the Silver Ferns will look to off-mark, will look to fly on things. She's the one that's got to use that 3 seconds and make sure she opens up the game.
You always need a player like that. You last played New Zealand in the Constellation Cup at the end of 2019. What area do you think New Zealand will be addressing right now, a key area?
I think they want to maintain that really great high performance output that they put out there, particularly defensively, but also in attack. Settling Maya Wilson into their attack end is going to be really critical for their next development of their next group of athletes.
Jamaica beat South Africa in the first game of the inaugural Nations Cup. What a test next. New Zealand, the Netball World Cup champions, return to the scene of their triumph to take on the hosts, England, under new coach Jess Thirlby. Not the only change for England, just 5 of the World Cup squad remain. Howes, Parton, Mental, Captain Guff, referee all taking a rest. As for New Zealand, they're without the 562 caps of Langman, Rore and the retired Maria Palau and Casey Corporal. Both these sides then have two new captains, someone who knows what it's like to don the armband and everything that goes with it. Amma Abwezi alongside me in commentary, and Amma, it's a real test for the new being blooded in, not just for England.
Yeah, definitely. I think both squads are going to be under pressure. It's a very hard step up from training with the team and playing to actually stepping up and playing an international game. I think more so playing on home soil.
Saunders with the first centre pass then for New Zealand. Awful news for New Zealand ahead of this one. Michaela Soplish-Beatson out of the tournament. She's ruptured her Achilles tendon and she's on her way home. We wish her a speedy recovery. England then with ball in hand. Laura Malcolm, vice-captain, combining with Nat Haythornthwaite, the new England captain. Corbin with an no-look pass into Jade Clark. Remarkable, I should get a name right, 173 caps for Jade Clark.
Yeah, England's most capped player, Jade Clark. England with their first goal and the arena erupting in celebration.
A sellout here in Nottingham for this first game for England in this tournament. Moves on to Birmingham before the finals weekend at the Copper Box in London next weekend. Kate Shimmin with her home debut for England. Has the cap to her name from playing in Cape Town, the South Africa test. And now the real test for her defensively. Ignacio, the New Zealand captain. Good land in there from Maya Wilson. And Dame Nolene Karura saying she's really looking to Wilson, what experience she can bring. This is just her 11th cap, but she believes she's old before her years.
Yeah, I think Wilson has been in and around the New Zealand setup for quite some time. She looks the fittest I've ever seen her. She has the ability to come out and move, and she's a solid goal shooter, so it's great that she's got the opportunity, so it'll be interesting to see what she does this series.
An example of that movement then. Stacey Francis, of course, a mention for her. Back in a 70th cap for England. Big old gap, of course, how she would have loved to have been at that Netball World Cup. She's back now, though, wearing that Roses dress and hoping to be part of a proper home Commonwealth Games in Birmingham. Isn't so much that's her neck of the woods. Not that the last one wasn't proper.
Well, I was going to say, I hope you're alluding to the fact that I'm also from Birmingham.
You are?
Everyone from Birmingham is
my
proper.
raised eyebrows. Probably couldn't see them. We're up right in the gods here in Nottingham. Brilliant view of the court.
Contact wing defence, top of the circle. This side.
I thought it quite interesting. New Zealand had the first centre pass and Ignacio actually broke the line and gave the ball away to England. And she would have been very devastated by that because breaking the line is one of those unforgivable things that your coach tells you not to do. But New Zealand actually worked really hard and worked well to get the ball back and level the score. So they scored from England's centre parts, the following centre parts.
Psychologically trying to win that one back. Great land from Clark, takes it. Corbin, there was a little yelp in there from Cardwell.
I think they're Jane Watson just doing a lot of work. As she turned, the ball was available, but Watson ran and covered that forward ball, so they had to lift the ball over and overcooked it. So I think just New Zealand building pressure through court defensively.
Oh, there's the roar. Shimmin will love that.
Burns obstruction, wing defence, contact. Contact.
Berger called for contact then. And Jess, they'll be saying how well Kate Shimmin has been in training over the last week or so. Corbin from distance. She loves a confident shot. Carwell does well on the backhand.
Yeah, I think you've got to know as a shooter, you have confidence in yourself to put it up, but know that you've got another player who's going to back you up in the rebound, and Cardwell took that rebound very well.
One of the real consistent performers in South Africa, Ellie Cardwell. Crampton looking for it way forward. Oh, and that was the pressure put on from Malcolm. Francis gets the call though.
Yeah, it was an offside call. I think that was just great teamwork and building of pressure and backing each other up. New Zealand unfortunate to go offside after they won it back though.
Good take from Shimmin, and Corbin comes out hunting for it. Getting the call from Clark. The good slip through.
And we see here Laura Malcolm doing great work to tip the ball, and Francis backing her up to pick up the scraps.
Good transition again from England. Was that an ooh at the length of the splits? I'm getting up 4 years later.
Me too. Eleanor Cardwell, she's another player for England. She's been in the setup for a little while. She's worked really hard. She's improved her fitness, and it's great that she's getting opportunity here and performing. As you said, in South Africa, she performed really well. So it's good to see. It's great to see.
Another settler from Wilson. Being made to work for it, England, but doing well to find that space.
Goalkeeper contact.
I think New Zealand just taking a little bit of time to settle into their defensive structure, knowing who's the person who's going to go for the ball and close it off, and then they can create the ball from the backs. But hopefully for them, they'll settle into that sooner rather than later.
Hold time. Just get this off.
It's a little bit of sweat on the court, or is it something that's fallen off? Remnants discarded. Such quick feet. If you catch anything on court, can knock you off your stride.
A great block there from Jane Watson, and Karaka reading that she had stopped that and coming out from behind her. Just brilliant defensive combinations in the circle for New Zealand.
All about the setup from New Zealand. Karaka reading it, as you say, and now they come away with the ball. Straight on the red wall, though, from England. Roses. Francis in there. Shibbin backing up. Nearly.
I think what New Zealand are doing really well, they're bringing the ball through court extremely quickly, but then England, their defence at the back, Karaka there coming for her, reading the ball really well and coming for interception. England defence is really strong in the back third, and so New Zealand are being patient and working the ball slowly to get to an opportunity at goal.
Get used to this. England ahead, then New Zealand ahead, then back level. And this time, New Zealand with the 1 goal advantage.
Goal attack obstruction.
Tight, of course, in that semi-final. Call against Corbyn then, and a note made by Jess Thirlby. She wouldn't have liked that.
No, it seems quite unassuming. I think England were being really patient, trying to build pressure. Those you don't want to give those penalties away, so Corbyn will have to clean that up.
And punished by the world champions. Dame Nolene Tarua, just one of many awards and plenty of recognition for the Silver Ferns when they returned with that gold medal around their necks. Well deserved. Yeah. Such a real improvement made by her and her coaching of this team to that World Cup, having finished outside those medals in the Commonwealth Games, and then to come back in the way that they did, the manner that they did, now taking on this role full-time as well. Gail Parata, who we know well from the Netball Super League, assisting her too.
Yeah, I think Dame Nolene Tarua is an amazing coach, and I think it's just the ethos and the care that she puts in the team off the court, that they would do anything for her on court, and I think we saw that at World Cup, and it's great for New Zealand that she's chosen to take on the role and continue, hopefully build on her legacy.
Frustration for Ellie Cardwell. Corbyn does well.
Centre, that's contact. Centre third.
All that pressure telling from Watson and Karaka in that circle for New Zealand.
Great pressure there from the English defenders, getting in front of their shooters, forcing them over. Crampton, they're not confident to put the ball over and getting the turnover because of 3 seconds held ball.
It is as much about doubt that you put in. No doubt about that one. Fluid from England, quick in the transition. That's the goal they needed.
Watson there, reading play well, but not going for the ball and winning it, and England making use of her error of coming out of the circle.
Contact, goal attack. Step.
And again, the call against England, going England's way. Well, there's some anger behind some of these England Bulls.
I think there was definitely anger behind Clark's ball there into the circle, but it worked.
Back to within a goal.
Offside wing attack, you're forcing that wing attack.
So the call against Nat Haythornthwaite.
Contact, goal attack!
Such fine margins about wanting to play right to the edge to give the best option for your team.
There is definitely, and I think there was a bit of, I saw Haythornthwaite
and a replay ball.
Another opportunity for England then. Haythornthwaite was battling with Karen Berger on the circle edge, and it's a really intense competition how to be as close to circle edge as possible but not be pushed offside.
Maybe a bit more calmness needed from both sides. A nutmeg gone wrong at one end. And now the settle from Wilson. Just no way through the legs with the bounce from Clark trying to go through.
I think in that situation, you were on the circle edge, and I think sometimes attackers really want to play the ball forward and get a shooting opportunity. But that might be the key time to send the ball back to the line and rebuild again.
Throwing. Down a bit further centre.
A flash of the red hair of Stacey Francis. Thought she might get that call. Saunders with it for New Zealand. So much body-on-body happening, isn't there, all around the circle?
Definitely. Now, Clark, they're doing some work on Ekanasio, trying to stop her getting into the circle because Shimin was out. So you need that kind of work from your mid-quarters, helping all your defenders in the circle.
At times, this won't be pretty, but it'll be tight.
I think sometimes there's only a small margin of room to let the ball go. And at this level, you have to let it go because you might not get another opportunity to pass to anybody in your team.
Contact wing defence.
It'll be interesting to see how this intensity can keep up. But it does mean sometimes you have pockets, then pick out. England options on the bench. Could see a debut for Amy Carter of Manchester Thunder. Jess Thirlby, the England coach, saying she's used or have been used since the start of the World Cup. We've seen some training tours as well. Some 27 players in the Roses dress, at the exposure at senior level for these players since the start in Liverpool.
And I think at the start of a four-year cycle, you need to expose players and bring some players through so that for the next Commonwealth Games and next World Cup, people have had experience.
Maybe a little slow coming back then, but do well defensively to get back.
Advantage offside. Centre third.
So just keeping an eye on the New Zealand bench. We might see a change in a moment. They like to do that though, throw some bibs on just in case to throw everyone. Can you see an area maybe that they might want to improve though?
I personally wouldn't make any change at the moment. I think they just need some more time to settle into the game. Their attackers definitely need to pick up on defence early to delay England's transition through court.
The minute that left Ellie Cardwell's hands the first time, it was almost like she was setting herself up for the rebound.
It's always quite demoralising as a goal defender or goalkeeper because the shooter knows when they've released the ball, they know instantly whether they're going to miss or score. And so you're almost on the back foot as a defender.
New Zealand captain out of court then. So approaching a minute and a half of this first quarter to go. Early big goal that would have been for England. Just sometimes over-egging it. We've seen a few of those loose balls through.
Contact wing. Top.
The advantage had already been given Malcolm's cuddle up that was happening. That'll just ease the nerves again for New Zealand because England could have gone back within one. Back out to 3. Final minute of this first quarter. Haythornthwaite. Cardwell looked to reset. All arms around her. Great defensive work again from the Silver Ferns. Bounce in to Corbett. Pirouette. Will she have another go?
I think she may have potentially missed that shot from all the rolling of the body that she done. She was probably very dizzy, but Kadeen Corbin plays with such flair and such speed, and then I think it's sometimes difficult and put the shot up. England need her to do that now to increase their score on the board.
What they're doing, though, is frustrating New Zealand, trying to stop them getting up court. Still early stages, but it'd be good to keep them out of that attacking end. Such is the well-drilled performance we've seen in that end from New Zealand. Still get it through. There's enough time for New Zealand to add one. Not for England, though. New Zealand will go in with that 4-goal lead into this second quarter. There goes the hooter. The times that England could have pulled it back, but New Zealand just capitalising on some of those errors from the Roses team. Plenty to think about then for both coaches. It's New Zealand with the quarter-time lead. England 11, New Zealand 15. Well, we wondered what we'd see from these new combinations from both sides as they hunt down the inaugural Nations Cup. It's New Zealand, the world champions, at the moment in front.
GD must have a good dog. You're two. Oh, it's gone straight through. Hard luck.
England 11, New Zealand 15 here in Nottingham. The second of the games in the Nations Cup after a win for Jamaica early on. Some changes on court. For England positionally, we've seen a change goalkeeper and goal defence with Shimin and Francis swapping bibs. And Selby Rickett on as well.
Contact wing defence, so holding on to her.
For New Zealand in that circle.
And Souness has also come on at wing attack for New Zealand.
So Amran Gracie, why do you think they've made those changes?
Yeah, I think they're quite interesting. I think Francis and Xiumin were actually working quite well together in the circle, but I think Francis creates lots of interceptions out of the front, and hopefully Xiumin can read off those. Great work there from the England team, from that centre pass, like hot butter through a knife. So Francis and Xiumin, yes, working well together, but I think Francis can create more interceptions and Xiumin can read the ball, replay well and intercept those. I'm interested in that they've made the change, New Zealand have made the change. I thought Wilson was doing quite well, but I think they just want to open the game up some more. Selby Rickett, more of a moving goal shooter, and so maybe they want to open the rotation in that circle to try and confuse Francis and Xiumin in the back.
Souness, a strong player for New Zealand. Missed 2016 through a serious knee injury, but she's got real quality as well. Frustration in the home crowd for England, and we saw that in that first quarter. There was just a couple of times when England didn't capitalise on moments that they had.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a lot of momentum shifts in that first quarter, and although New Zealand finished 4 goals up, I don't think that they had solidified their impact on the game, and so both teams at the moment, it's still open to both teams to get that momentum and run with it.
Ekanasio, that goal attack bib. The settle, the arm, the shot, the goal.
I think Ekanasio as captain is a big call for Dame Nolene to make. Goal attack, goal shooter, they're really tough positions. You have that added pressure of shooting. And so to have the captain's armband as well as that is massive. And Ekanasio has had an interesting career. She's developed and grown as time's gone on. She wasn't under 21 for Australia for the Diamonds, moved across to New Zealand and has just grown and grown. And I think she is relishing in the opportunity, so it'll be interesting to see how she takes its captaincy and how she performs on court.
Acres of space. That's how she'll perform. They've come out with intent, have New Zealand. We saw England pull back this gap in that first quarter as well. Corbyn, quick hands, little bounce across to Jade Clark, England's most capped player, swings it round into Ellie Cardwell. Now what work can England do on New Zealand's centre pass? Ekanasio, the captain, comes out for it.
I think this is great defensive pressure here from England, keeping New Zealand out of the middle of the court, running hard. That would have been a perfect interception for Xiumin there. They'd forced the ball from wide to the other pocket of the court. Unfortunately, Xiumin couldn't get onto the end of it, but hopefully they start to build more pressure and can turn ball over from New Zealand.
Did all the work to draw New Zealand out and through, set it up, but needed an extra maybe foot on the end of it. Good setup from New Zealand too then.
Exactly, the exact same setup there from New Zealand, covering the middle. Watson came, she didn't quite make it, but they will hope that they can put doubt in the head of the feeders and start winning more ball.
It was a pretty good defensive end, sat on that bench then for England. Great to see Sonny Makoma back in the setup and part of the coaching setup for England here.
Yeah, Makoma lives out in Australia, so it's great that she's got to fly back over here and gets to work with the young defenders coming through the England ranks.
Could have used your air miles.
Cardwell there just taking the knocks, and it's very physical in the circle, and I feel like she's grown as a player. She's a very, very strong player to play against, and she's rising to the occasion. I think it's just great that she's had the opportunities now.
Just the 24th cap for Ellie Cardwell, but when you've got Helen Housby in there and Jo Harton, it's easy to not look to the likes of Ellie Cardwell. She can give them that opportunity out in South Africa and now here in Nottingham. and she's taking it.
And I think also performing with Kadeen Corbin in front of her, just then in the circle, we saw Corbin read the space really well of the defenders and put the ball into space, and Cardwell instinctively knew where it was coming. So the two of them are combining well. Two players who haven't had much opportunity because of the players who have played ahead of them.
Both out, advantage goal. Yes.
Stacey Francis. Ooh, that was close.
England throwing.
And this is the standard New Zealand style, so they force you wide. They do a really good tight job on the people closest to the ball to prevent them getting the ball, forcing you to pass the ball long, and then the back defenders run really hard and try and intercept it. So classic New Zealand style of defence here, building pressure, and hopefully for them, they will come out with the ball. You can see Karaka in the back there, watching that wide Jade Clark hanging out. They've left the front open for Corbin though, so good for England to open up the space. Unfortunate that Corbin couldn't finish it.
Shake of the head from Kadeen Corbin. Soonest with the look around, does the pirouette. Box to go back. Karaka doing lots of work around court for New Zealand.
Goal third with your arm.
Malcolm called up then.
I think what's been great to see is that the England attackers are straight onto defence as soon as things happened. They're working really hard. I think Corbin must have been working on her fitness because she's helping block the mid-court, which helps the defenders.
So a gap opened up for the world champions. Now just about defensively what work England can do. That'll help. Malcolm. Suddenly though, just everyone surrounding and swarming round that England team. You could see it coming, Emma.
Yeah, you could. I think England playing a little bit too fast for themselves there. They needed someone to just control the ball and have patience.
Again, it was just the engine of New Zealand to get back there. Selby Rickett. Sweet.
England!
New Zealand just exerting the right pressure at the right time. Every time that England look like they're having a little bit of a nibble back. But would you say it's more like that, Emma? Perhaps the errors from England that are costing themselves at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think England have had enough possession to be level in its game, and they're just making small errors. But I think sometimes you finish playing New Zealand and you come off and think, well, why did we just lose by that many goals? But I think what New Zealand do really well is they chip away at you. So they get a run of 2 goals and then you score, and it's almost as if the momentum isn't in their favour. But they're getting those that extra goal every single time. And I think they just have patience and they're very unassuming, and I think that's key to them. An unfortunate mistake there, misreading the situation. Souness and Ekenasio actually play at club together, so that's a rare mistake for them to make, I think, because they know each other so well.
Oh, if you're Jess Selby, having seen you've just been gifted the ball one end, now the other New Zealand have it, and this is where they've punished England.
I think the ball knocked Selby Rickett so hard in the face she didn't have a clue where it was.
I think she might have to pick her teeth up in a minute.
I think if you were Jess Selby in that situation, you should be looking to make a change because the score's blowing out, and in a netball match, if the score blows out massively, you've got no hope of winning. So I imagine she'll be looking to make a change somewhere on the court.
Dancing on her toes over on the bench, George Fisher is up with the goal shooter bib on her chest. That might be a change.
Keep her right here. Keep her with her.
Cardwell settles. But is that the end? Well, there we go. Here comes the change. I'm going to see Cardwell go to the goal attack position, and then George Fisher go in to goal shoot. Thinking behind that, Emma?
Yeah, I think Cardwell is having quite a good game, and so I would have wanted to keep her on the court. Corbin, I think she's an amazing player. She's got great flair, great speed, but sometimes she does struggle a little bit with her shooting. I did think she was having an okay performance. It would be great if I think Thirlby could have a quick chat with her, and if they inject her back into the game, that would be good for her and good for her confidence.
A new win for England then. One off the score. Impressive from New Zealand and their combination so far. Changes made at the quarter time by Nolin Turua, paying off. There's one of them, Selby Rickett, with a settle.
Contact on the land. That is goal.
I think we talked at the top of the show about the changes in the New Zealand attacking end because
of just seeing those players that have decided to retire, and seeing Maria Folau retiring as well. And you see that the 560-odd caps that aren't here that they would have had at the World Cup.
Exactly, and I think these players are now stepping up and taking their opportunity and relishing it.
Which is no mean feat. You've got the whole crowd, well, the majority of the crowd, cheering on the opposition. They'll be used to that, though, when they perform in Australia and beyond. And now the call for England. Francis eager to take that off. How can they build? You see maybe 2-3 of these chances gone for England in the past. Oh, there's a hip check.
That's a great move there by Natalie Haythornthwaite. She drew across the third, pulling two defenders, and an unfortunate call there for the keeper. I think it was just the strength that Eleanor Cardwell took the ball with that made the umpire think it's definitely her ball.
Oh, how quickly things can change. They've seen that gap open up to 8. Now it's back down. 4 goals the difference, and 1 now goes astray for New Zealand. Kate Shimmin in her home debut to Stacey Francis, back in that red dress for England. Clark with a bullet ball into Nat Haythornthwaite, the captain, has a look round. Where's the option? There's Clark back on it. The feed from Haythornthwaite on the edge of the circle to her old Wasp teammate, and George Fisher puts it away.
I think what England did really well then was they had or at least 2 people moving for the ball. So one person would pull, New Zealand would think the ball was going to go to them, and it would open up space for someone else.
Is it someone's birthday? 2 gifts in a row for England.
And just like that, they're back into the game.
Centre contact, goal third.
That work in the circle now. Ignacio does well, though.
Arms before.
I'm saying it was unintentional from Francis, but when there's a little bump on the post as well, Ignacio just shut it all out.
Keeper, you're holding on to her.
I think shooters practice for that, but as a defender, you want to try everything you possibly can within the rules, though. You can't actually knock the post or lean on the post or use the post, as it's illegal in the game.
Now they're taking their centre pass, England, into the final minute and a half approaching of this quarter.
Contact, that goal.
Just being so good in that circle, though, New Zealand.
Yeah, they have, and Ignacio stepping up to the plate, dominating the circle. She drives and pulls.
Oh!
A great tip there.
Slippy fingers.
Ignacio drives and pulls defenders when she needs to. She props and holds when she needs to. She's just got great tenacity and great options as an attacker.
A look up at the scoreboard and at the clock for Nolin Turua. Final minute of this half approaching. Done well to swing it back out to 4. Well, you saw how much that meant. There's smiles all around from New Zealand. I'm not sure they were happy with that call. But England, can they stick it this time? Cardwell does well. Haythornthwaite, it was all part of that call going. Oh, she's there to receive it. And the contact call.
It's definitely heating up in these last 30 seconds. I think if England can score now, they will go into the break confident.
Well, you don't need that. You can be the world champions, you can have a gold medal hanging around your neck, but sometimes there's just no accounting for what might happen in those moments. Both sides have had those in this half, moments where you just stood back. As a coach, you must be thinking, what's going on?
There's only 7 seconds on the clock, so England will be keen to get its ball to a shooting opportunity.
Quick transition. Are they going to go for the long one? No, they give it up to New Zealand. There's enough time for them. No, there isn't. Well, they'll be thankful for the hooter now. They didn't want it a few seconds ago, but that will go. Confidence swings back the way of England, perhaps. New Zealand throughout that first half just showed their real quality, how clinical they could be. Moments though for England that as a coach, I'm sure Jess Thirlby will say, what can I do in that situation? She made changes, but ultimately it's New Zealand with the lead at the break. Could have been worse for captain Nat Haythornthwaite. Gail.
Thanks very much, Caroline. Well, my goodness, what a difference between the way you started that half and the way you finished it. What was the difference in your eyes?
I think just using the crowd. The crowd have been incredible and they're just really getting behind us, and we need to lift from that. We're having opportunities, so we just need to reward the defensive efforts a little bit more.
George Fisher coming on just changed the way that you played. How did you see it?
She just wants the ball. She's just turning to the post. Anytime she gets the ball, she's just turning and scoring the goals for us. And Ellie Cardwell's doing great as well.
Got this, haven't you?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Thanks very much. Amelia Ann, how's your first half of captaincy? Because you've had pretty much everything thrown at you, haven't you, in that first half an hour?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think we've weathered the storm a little bit. We probably put ourselves a bit in the storm anyway, but we're doing some good things out there. Probably just need to have a little bit more ball retention, I think.
How frustrating, because you built up such a lead. You looked in commands. Why did you just begin to take your feet off the gas?
Look, I think it's our first game of the year so far, and we probably are a little bit guilty of letting our feet off it. So we just need to just stay really stuck in and do the basics really well, I think.
Well, thanks very much. We'll see you out in the second half.
Well, we saw what was capable of both these sides in the semi-finals in Liverpool. The rematch is going down just as well. 25-28, New Zealand with the lead.
GD must have a good dog. You're too kind. It's gone straight through. Hard luck.
Well, this is a close one. It's been fast and feisty. There's the captain of the Silver Ferns, Ekanasio. They're leading at the moment by 3 goals, but this girl's been imperious. 100% shooting record at the moment. Ellie Cardwell, great partnership in the last 5 minutes of that second quarter with George Fisher. These are the stats from the game. I'm here with Lisa Alexander and Tamsin Greenway. Lisa, what figures, what numbers ping out at you?
Well, I think those misses in the first quarter obviously cost. I think it was the errors that England made rather than New Zealand forcing them into those errors. So to see that change wasn't surprising in many respects. And I must admit, I lost patience with Kadeen, and obviously so did Jess. So she made that change, taking her off the court and making that change and bringing Fisher on.
Yeah, it clicked immediately, didn't it, Tamsin?
Yeah, it did. It was really interesting to see both the coaches' changes. I think we talked earlier that maybe Tadura had planned her changes, bringing on Selby Rickett and Souness in the second quarter, because there was no real reason to change. Whereas Selby
you think they were planned?
I think they were. We were discussing that in the break.
I think, Nolene has an idea of what she wants to do in building her combinations towards the end of the finals, so she's going to expose them.
Exactly. And Thirlby had to change. England went 6 or 7 down at one point. They had to react, and it was a good chance to react. What was really interesting was the Kiwi defence, because I was raving about them to start. I really expected it to be seamless. I don't think it was, and that's why I think England is still in this game.
Okay, have you got any?
I'm just going to show you a couple of clips. So I want to pick it up here, and as we play this through, and I'm going to stop it in a second because it's this off marking. I'll stop it here. This is the kind of ball that you'd think Karaka would go for. That was the ball that Rore would win. That's the ball that Kulpua, who aren't here, would win. But they're so wide apart from each other, they're just not reacting quick enough. And so what's happening is England are playing this ball through, short and sharp, working it in. Now, interestingly, they turn this ball over here from an attacking contact, nothing that the Kiwis have done. If we're playing this one here again, same thing. Look at this unit just here. They're close. Keep your eye on Berger. She's going to go for stuff. Watson and Karaka are going to go for things, but they're just too late on stuff. So they're chasing out to stuff, but they're not actually getting anywhere near. You're going to see Watson go out here there. But because they're keeping it short and sharp, they're leaving gaps wide open. They're just not working off each other. They're almost there, but it's allowing England to play it through. When they're short and sharp, they're effective, but unfortunately, the missed shots in the first quarter cost us. It's meant we went down. The attacking contacts are replayed, the offside, all those sloppy things that just Selby can do absolutely nothing about. They're the bits that England need to fix. New Zealand, on the other hand, will have to start looking at the defence, because when they play like this, they just open up wide, and it allows England back into the game, especially with a target like George Fisher.
Yeah, I mean, they've just got to make sure that they get off that body a little bit more. I think there's too much physicality in that circle, and they're not confusing that space. They're not making it difficult for the England feeders at the end of the day. So they've got to do more work off the body, confusing that space.
I mean, only 3 goals in it. It's anyone's game. What will Jess be saying to her team right now?
She'll be happy with how they came back in that quarter, but they have to now try and push forward, because they've always been chasing the game.
Okay, the third quarter coming up in a couple of minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. It's very close in this one, the third quarter. Straight after this break.
GD must have a good dog. You're too kind. Oh, it's gone straight through. Hard luck.
A sellout crowd in Nottingham are being treated to world-class netball. New Zealand, the Netball World Cup winners, have pushed ahead of England in that first half, but England draw them back. 28-25 they lead heading into the third quarter. Tamsin Greenway joining me in commentary. We've seen a few changes. We'll run through those in just a moment, but notably, Kate Shimmin putting it straight on Bailey Mez, who's come on at that goal attack position.
Yeah, and another change in that attack end for the Kiwis, which goes to show probably the plan changes that Todoroa was thinking about before the game. And why not? The luxury of being world champions in a year one building cycle means they can actually go out there and see who can make an impact, who plays best together, and against the quality England side.
We were surprised maybe that Wilson was taken off in that first half. 12 and 12 from her before she went off. And then Selby Rickett came on and shot at 80%. Meanwhile, one of the changes for England in that second quarter, George Fisher is back on the board. You've coached George Fisher before. We'll talk more about her in just a moment because it's New Zealand with the ball in hand. Just England really trying to turn the screw and hassle this ball off New Zealand.
Yeah, and they've made it difficult for them in that circle. New Zealand use their body a lot. You can see Maya Wilson there just posting up, understanding how to roll, how to go around. Ekanazio does exactly the same thing. They're very structured in that circle. Often means, though, that if they don't get that timing right, the feeders aren't as comfortable putting the ball in.
Former Super League winning coach with Wasps, Tamsin Greenway. So she's coached Jay Clark, who's on the ball now. Tries to make the feed into George Fisher.
Yeah, and just another example of the gaps England are looking for to expose in that Kiwi style of defence. You're seeing a lot longer ball that they weren't able to do at World Cup, and it's what I was talking about in half-time. I don't think it's quite clicking the timing of that Kiwi defence. They're not sort of linking in together. It's allowing England to look a bit longer than you'd usually expect against that style.
Centre third wing defence.
Big fan of those passes that look almost lazy. Perfect passing from New Zealand.
I like to call it touch, Caroline. Bit of touch on the ball. Doesn't always have to go at 100 miles an hour. Best players with flair can float a ball over the top, can understand what the defenders can get to.
Sometimes England in that, particularly that first quarter, were putting a bit too much on the ball. The excited child.
And great vision from Clark to Fisher there, and that's the difference that a holding shooter will give you. A target like Fisher in there. It allowed her to post up on Watson. Kanaka got drawn out on Ellen Cardwell, and there it was, open space for Jay Clark.
Bailey Mez, who likes a shot from distance. She won't mind that at all. One of the real experienced players. It's her 70th cap for New Zealand.
And good confidence from Mez. Part of her problem is she usually gets pulled up for her sort of shooting percentage. It's probably been one of the negative parts of her game. She does so much out on the court.
Oh, great defensive work then from New Zealand. And England with a held ball.
And a bit more structure there from New Zealand. Watson was able to get in the front, those big arms, putting off the feed from Clark, but it was where it was taken from as well. It was right on the edge of the circle, but it was in the corner. And that's where it's the most difficult position to actually get that ball cleanly into the shooter, especially with the big defence. And you see the difference there with that swing from Souness to Saunders at the top. It opened the circle right up.
England do have Fran Williams on the bench, an option perhaps defensively. But do you think it's just a case of they've got to work out this change in that end for New Zealand?
I think I spoke about this before the competition. What are the coaches trying to get out of this? It's very clear that Todoroa is looking for combinations. The very fact she's changed her attacking unit every single quarter, she's looking at what they can do out there. I think she would have done it defensively if it hadn't been for that injury before the competition started. For England, they're looking for the win. They've gone for experience. They've got a lot of talented youngsters on that bench. They made a reactive change by bringing Fisher on. But I think at the moment, you know, Thirlby were looking at this going, I want to try and win this game. And why would I change when we're getting moments like this?
Down to 5-goal gap for England. In the last 4 meetings between these two sides, New Zealand have only won 3 quarters, and 2 of those are in that semi-final at the Netball World Cup. England have the recent pedigree, at least quarter time in beating the sides.
But I think you've just hit the nail on the head there, Caroline. They did it when it mattered in the most important game, the semi-final at the World Cup.
Nat Haythornthwaite not happy that she didn't get that call from the umpire.
Well, she'll claim it's obstruction. She saw them all come flying out. She saw Fisher wide open under the post, release it from her chest, needed to get the ball up and over the top. But look, New Zealand will be looking at this game as sort of a nothingy for them. They're coming over here, they're trying out players. They're current world champions, they've got nothing to lose here today.
Oh, Shimmin! Well, she took her time to read those changes. You could feel it coming.
Yeah, you could, and a lot of the England players talk about Shimmin coming into that training camp. One of the things they mentioned were her range. She was so arms all over her, a real Aussie style.
Contact.
And you just saw it there. She got hands clean over to that ball.
Defense obstruction. England.
Got the feeling England needed that call.
Just this side of her.
Really having to work their way through. Haythornthwaite.
I think the frustration when you play this style of defence is at moments it's wide open and you ping it through and it feels easy and the crowd go wild. And then at times you have to work and build and work and go again and be patient and use the 3 seconds. It's so hard mentally to keep switching from one to another. And then for the shooters, having an easy ball in and then a hard one like that where they have to try and nail it.
Both Fisher and Cardwell don't mind shooting from that range. But this is just the way through that New Zealand are finding at the moment.
Yeah, it is, and I've been really impressed with how they've slotted those attacking units. You know, complete different styles in there, really, in terms of how they all play goal attack and goal shooter. But the common traits being the sort of screens, the pops, the rolls, and the understanding of how to exit the circle and who enters.
Mickey Austin watching on, in charge of things down at Surrey Storm. Great, long ball through, and that's where it works.
And that's what I mean, that's the one where you lift and you go, wow, but you can't give that the whole time. Calico was so close to getting that ball. You know, she won't be able to do that all day long. It was a great feed in from Jay Clark, but then you have to be able to work the next one.
So New Zealand with that 39-31 lead. England have won all of the last 5 final quarters against New Zealand. But they've got to be closer as you head into that final quarter.
Yeah, a danger period in this third quarter that you can let the game slip away. We saw that in the first game of the Nations Cup. South Africa letting Jamaica get that lead. I think the worrying points for me of England have been chasing this game. From the word go, they've been chasing New Zealand. So hard, it's so draining to get that close to them. You can't keep ticking over the scoreboard.
I think we're going to see defensively a change for England. Just over on their bench, Razia Quashie, who's been training hard, has been called over for a little talking to. We might see that happen. What would Quashie bring defensively to England that they're not getting at the moment?
I think for me, just that elevation. Francis and Shimmin are both very reactive, so they've both been going on a lot of things, but I actually think Wilson and Mez have held the space and used the timing of the pop-up onto the ball the best out of these combinations so far. And so it's just isolated both Francis and Shimmin. So you'd hope that Quashie will give them something a bit different, something to think about. They won't be able to get that high ball over there to Mez. They might be able to switch a little bit quicker as well.
Amy Carter also an option. Could she make her debut for England from the bench? At the moment, it's New Zealand punishing any England error.
I just think from there, you can see the way that these two are using their bodies. They're actually isolating Francis and Shimmin. They aren't able to work together, so you have to look at something different.
you can't have defensive units working on their own, not at this level, because attacking ends will just tear you apart.
Jade Clark gave a little guttural roar to the rest of her team as she went to take that centre pass. All's fair in love and war, right?
May have been a little contact, I don't know. 50-50 contest, right?
Obstruction, goal defence.
George Fisher, one of those players you feel feeds off the crowd. Nat Haythornthwaite saying they've got to put a show on for this sellout in Nottingham. Malcolm goes back to Shimmin, back on her feet. Laura Malcolm, vice-captain, to her captain Nat Haythornthwaite. Out to Jade Clark, England's most capped player. Cardwell has to go back to Clark too. Look at that feed into George Fisher.
Yeah, and tactically that was spot on. They spread that Kiwi defence, they used the width, they kept Jade Clark out on the edge, released with Cardwell and then got the ball back into the middle. They're working that middle space, they're not trying to force it. There's a big difference. So from these wide positions here, Jade Clark's been really patient, and you see that again, they're trying to ping that ball around using the width. And it's just meaning that Carragher and Watson haven't got the opportunity to go on those balls.
They are setting those traps well, New Zealand, but England wriggle free.
Yeah, and it was great patience there from the England attack end. Really being led by Haythornthwaite and the work she's doing off the ball. Really impressive.
Final bit of adjustments for Kwashi. Unorthodox from Stacey Francis, but each one counts. Francis with a no-look pass then as well. Bit more confident, this England team.
And that's where I think England have let themselves down today. They've handed New Zealand the opportunities when they've got back on top, when they've got that momentum. We've seen too many footworks, tacking contacts, missed shots, in opportunities that you just can't give away at this level.
That was cruel though, one end. And just to underline it, the other.
Welcome to the international game.
Well, while George Fisher gets back up and on her feet, here comes the change. And the young England defensive end, Razia Kwashi, comes on, Mavericks player, made her debut on the tour of Jamaica. And now what can she give this England team?
Well, it'll definitely give the Ferns something to think about. They won't have seen a lot of her. I was speaking to Elisa Alexander earlier, and it's very different watching the games live than it is to getting video and seeing things. And I was often asking her about, did you see much of this game? Did you see much of that? And, you know, you can't watch every single thing. So a lot of these young players, they're new to the game. They can come on and have immediate impact because you don't really know what they're going to give you.
Already putting a little bit of pressure on New Zealand. Their experience, though. So shimming off, Kwashi on, same result for New Zealand. Again, Nat Haythornthwaite feels like she should have had that. Similar press repeat, wasn't it, on the call from before?
That was unlucky there from Kwashi. She came in from behind, gave Maya Wilson a nudge. Probably could have just not got into that physical battle. That's an experience because the ball was going to go flying out the back, off the back line.
Contact.
They're cleaning things up early. So impressive again from New Zealand. Just everything that's going on around them. And they put another run of goals on.
But you look where their run of goals came from. You know, it was one footwork. It was a missed shot before that. It was then a first face centre pass. You know, they're errors that you just can't afford to be doing. They're your bread and butter. And then the stuff that the Kiwis did in the first quarter but haven't continued to do through the rest of the game.
And when you've got Wilson in real great form on that attacking end, Bailey Mess also then joining in the defensive work.
Yeah, finally you see that clean intercept from the Kiwis. Berger will be happy with herself with that coming onto that ball because they've been out hunting. They've not had much luck today. Oh, sorry, there's Mez coming through. But there was the work from the back defence that actually created that in front.
And all of a sudden, they could go 10 goals in front. Final minute of this third quarter. We talk so much about how important that third quarter can be. regardless of whatever happens in the fourth. And, gosh, she read that, just couldn't quite. Pulled out of it at the last minute for fear of contact. And there is the 10-goal lead. And those supporting New Zealand enjoying that here in Nottingham. Reminder of the way the Nations Cup works. All these teams will play each other for the final next Sunday. So whoever loses today, not done and dusted, and still very much part of the tournament.
I think you're going to see so many ups and downs from all the teams this week, depending on how much up on the styles, what they see the key games are, who performs at key times, especially with some of these youngsters, who has an impact.
Oh, Wilson. She's been having the way she's been playing. Thought that one was going to sink. With Mez on the backup.
Yeah, the confidence to go from distance from Wilson, impressive. And the Kiwis really put their foot on the pedal in that quarter, pulled away a 10-goal lead. England will be frustrated because they were right back in it for moments.
So England, again, just those points at which Jess Thirlby to deal with them. It's just about concentration, being clinical, everything that New Zealand showed in that quarter.
Yeah, well, look, tactically, I like what England are doing. They are pulling that defensive unit wide. They're making it very difficult for them to come out on flies, but it's the execution at times. It's those finishing off the shots. It's not the sloppy footworks. It's making sure that you still see the off-marker even when you're playing that ball around. It's so difficult to keep the composure for 60 minutes, but they're showing they can do it for periods of time, and Jess Thirlby will be happy with some of the moments in that quarter.
New combinations, plenty to test for Jess Thirlby and Nolene Turua. At the moment, though, it's New Zealand showing their experience and the work on those combinations who have the lead heading into that final quarter.
GD must have a good dog. You're too kind. Oh, it's gone straight through. Hard luck.
The final quarter awaits for England and New Zealand in this, their first game at the Nations Cup. Whoever wins this will, of course, have a better chance of making next Sunday's final. But if you lose, it's not a no come Sunday. Still plenty of opportunity to get there. Jamaica beating South Africa earlier on today. South Africa will face England on Wednesday, and New Zealand will take on Jamaica.
Contact goalkeeper.
Tamsin Greenway alongside me for this final 15 minutes, now 14 and a half, and England again just got to cut out their own errors, but again could benefit to New Zealand for the pressure they're putting them under.
Yeah, it is, and I think the Silver Ferns have really grown into this game. Another great connection there from a different shooting lineup. We've seen every single shooter out on the court in the different combinations, and that is full credit to a team that understand what they're doing. What I'm impressed with is they're reacting to what England are doing to them tactically. They're making changes themselves, and they're growing with it.
It's Selby Rippett back on court, and that attacking end for New Zealand.
Oh, nice play there. Again, understanding Berger, holding it for 2 seconds, going up, so Kadaka was able to come on the 3rd second, really put off Caldwell on the shot. That's better play from England. Coming in from that top and 45, George Fisher's been open a lot, but they've got to keep working to get themselves into those positions.
Tanton to Bailey Mez. You see Poi on that centre bib on 2.
Yeah, really excited to see her as well. I think Torua started with a kind of comfortable lineup, but Poi for me is going to be one of those players that really takes these Ferns on in the next 4 years. You know, Langman won't be around forever. They've relied heavily on her. They're showing they can play without her. And no disrespect, because she's absolutely quality if she's listening. But Kaminola Poi is a very exciting next generation.
Silver Fern number 174. Poi with that centre bib on. And it's the centre pass for New Zealand.
Contact centre, Burns offside wing. Swing goal defence contact, just inside the circle.
There was a little bit of a touch of the ankle from Stacey Francis then on Mez. Well spotted by the umpire. Poshi has a little bit of a go.
Yeah, just the range from Mez. She's really explosive the way she goes onto ball. Great elevation.
Oh, Poi had an opportunity then, created by herself, but England still find a way through. And it is so fine, so tight at this level of netball.
Smart play from Haythornthwaite though. George Fisher's getting that bib on. Sally Caldwell, she waited for the 3rd second. She saw the Silver Ferns defence go for the fly, and it opened up right into the post. Oh, nice quick vision. Again, the screen and the roll. They're so quick to do it. It's so hard for the England to get around, because the minute the whistle goes, they're straight onto bodying up.
Would you make any other changes, or do you think that Jess Thirlby will stick, barring injury, with this 7 as we approach 11 and a half minutes left of this one?
But I think this was the difficulty. She started with her most experienced lineup. I don't necessarily think it was the most talented lineup in the sense of what we've got on the bench. However, because you've seen the impact George Fisher's had when she's come on, for me, I wanted to see this game as looking at players like Amy Carter, at giving Fran Williams more opportunity, at starting Raz Poshi, because you've got nothing to lose. Because look, they put the most experienced players on, and they're 11 goals down, and that was always going to be a danger of playing the world champions. So now it's, when you face them again, if you get into that final next weekend, can you play your youngsters? You've not given them any exposure. I've been really impressed with George Fisher, and I'm so glad she came onto the court, because I think she's made a difference.
Just 5 of the England 14. They're picking for 12 for the matchday squad, but just 5 of the 14 were part of that Netball World Cup in Liverpool, just showing changes that have been made. Quite a few enforced, with those players taking a rest over the past couple of months. Fisher does well to hold on, and George Fisher one of those. Went out to South Africa in Cape Town for that series. And Jess Thirlby knows she's got other resources, but this about who's coming through for England. Not always about relying on those that have been before.
Contact, goal attack.
Well, England are still putting everything in this. There was a chin-on-chin then, bodies flying. Look at New Zealand right back in them.
Yeah, they are. Look at that pressure getting a held ball in that end third. The reaction again of that attack end to get straight onto the defence made it very, very difficult for the Roses.
Break, wing attack. Bonus contact, goal attack.
And the problem then comes that you try and force it.
Well, when you play the Kiwis, it has to be pinpoint anyway. You saw that width that Clark drew. That meant she drew Callagher out. It left Fisher open, but it was almost a rush of blood to the head. She saw it, she turned, she pinged it. She just needed that touch, just that moment, take a breath.
Distraction, goal attack. Contact, goal defence, just inside, yes.
It's like Toy's never not been a part of this side, isn't it?
Reset that penalty.
And that's the difference, and I constantly talk about Australians' conveyor belt of talent. The Kiwis are the same, and especially under the direction of Toroa, because of the culture she's brought in. You've got so many players that want to play for her, so many players that are happy with the style she's created. And, you know, to change the shooters as she has through this game, I don't think people quite understand how difficult that is, to go on and off and on and off and keep performing, especially for a player like Mez, who, you know, has taken a lot of stick over the past few years about her sort of shooting and, you know, her performances out there. And she's been brilliant today. That is from a confident team.
Oh, Stacey Francis. Or any that question the heart and the desire of Stacey Francis. Again, like she's never been away in that red dress, and she's pulled it back on for England.
Yeah, I think defensively, England have turned over ball at key times and really kept England in the game. You're going to see this here, the footwork for Francis to go round and get that ball. It's just been the lack of consistency in the attack end.
And it lifts the rest of her team, lifts the crowd inside here in Nottingham. And that's what Francis can do. You can play the ifs, buts and maybes game, but if everyone was back and available, Francis would still get in your squad when she turns.
Yeah, of course. And I think looking through this group today, and when I saw the lineup, I think that was my only frustration, because we know that the players that are still in the mould, the ones that haven't retired, you see Francis there, that's why she'd be in that lineup. I think if she made herself available for World Cup, she would have gone there as well. So we know the talent that England are going to get back. And that's why I'd like to see some more of these youngsters exposed, because there's some players, I think, that are out there that have had the opportunity today that probably aren't going to take this group forward.
Hold time, free pass, goal third, offside.
Just Mez with that little bit of contact. Just halted the rhythm of England for a moment. Fisher will have a shot from here. No. Lovely little fake pass over to Ali Cardwell. Well, they certainly believe inside Nottingham that their side can get back in this. 12 goals the gap. It would be one immense effort from England.
I think that's why that third quarter was so frustrating, because they've had moments like this where they've been absolutely brilliant.
Goal shooter, inside the circle.
Another of those standout players for New Zealand in this game.
I think just as a unit, they've grown, they've been effective. You know, it hasn't been faultless. They've definitely had to work hard to sort of cement those combinations, but I love the way they've stuck with it and tried things.
Well, despite the score on court at the moment, England are going to make some changes in just a moment. One of them will be huge for the future of this England team, and one player in particular. The centre bib on, and Amy Carter makes her way onto court for her England debut. Carter at centre, and there's the noise from the crowd, appreciating the next generation of Roses starting here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big fan of Amy Carter.
Fran Williams also on. That goal defence bib on her chest. And here's a first centre pass in a Rose's dress for Amy Carter. Into the other change, Chelsea Pittman, but Matt Haythornthwaite is moved to that goal attack position. Couldn't make that passage of play stick. There's Williams.
England.
And picked up there by Amy Carter. Smart play from Williams to come around the body. She read that really well. England just have to take a minute to just settle all the players in. Much better from Pittman. She just held on to that ball. She wasn't trying to play the first second.
I'm not entirely sure that Carter needs any time to settle, and you see her mixing it with them right then, physically as well.
But yeah, what I like about Carter is she's super fit. She's quite slight, but she will take the physical challenge coming through from the Thunder regime, the Manchester Thunder regime. You know, they know how to man-on-man mark, they know how to physically get stuck in, but she's got a lot of flair as well. She reads the game exceptionally well. Still so young, but a real prospect for England in that centre position.
About halfway, yeah.
England weren't lacking physicality or pace, but these changes have disrupted New Zealand.
Yeah, they have, and I think when you bring some of these youngsters on, they come with a no fear factor. You know, what have they got to lose out there, especially defensively? They can go and put an arm in, they can challenge.
Oh, great hand in from Mez.
But just all that hard work defensively, just not being put through in that attack end.
And contact centre! Contact goalkeeper just inside the circle. Inside.
Mez to Selby Rickett, and Bailey Mez, since she has come onto court, has done so much work through it defensively as well, as you say. All that was on her shoulders, the Commonwealth Games in Australia and reaction to the way that she played, she's been impressive in that circle. Karaka two up the other, and some real standout players for New Zealand. And there's Poi, one of the newer bloods that Noeline Thoreau was saying about bringing those younger players through and blending them in, the experience and the youth, which we've seen over the last 60 minutes.
Contact goal defence. England!
13 goals, not a blowout, but they want to just tighten that up a bit more, England, to take on that confidence into Wednesday's game.
Yeah, of course, remember these games are a learning opportunity. This is the whole reason you play these in year one. You know, you give your opportunity for youngsters to come through. You try out new combinations, you try new styles, you see what works. No one will remember this game in 2 years' time at the Commonwealth Games, and that's what we were talking about earlier. The Silver Ferns won when it mattered. So what about the games that went before? And Torua was very good at doing that. She got a squad together, understood where the end goal was, and built them to it. And England have got to do the same. You've just got to trust it.
New Zealand throw it.
Oh, unlucky there. Great hands by Malcolm. I think he's had a really solid game today. She had different wing attacks to deal with. She's got hands in when she needs. She's great at bringing the ball through the court.
Saunders and combining with Poi. Mez again comes
Obstruction goalkeeper, sorry ladies, obstruction keeper just inside the circle. Dog shooter, take a step back.
I think all the England defence have struggled to handle Mez. Her timing through the court coming out, her offloads into the circle, her interchanges with the goal shooter. She's done a lot of work on this first phase as well.
She sensed when perhaps England have come back at New Zealand, the moments at which she needs to try and get involved too further up the court.
And a player with 70 caps, you'd expect that. It's that elevation as well. She can take the ball really strongly over the top. And she's absolutely nailed the shot today.
Carter and Pittman. Wing attack bib on. There's a conundrum for Jess Thirlby. We've got Pittman out and out wing attack. Matt Haythornthwaite, the captain. Audrey, that's her best position too, would you say, at wing attack?
Yeah, definitely. I think she gives you another angle at goal attack, but it's only probably going to be a quarter, maybe half a game. Oh, yes, Amy Carter. And I love that. You're going to see Carter and Poi, I'm sure, match up with each other over the next few years. No love lost there. Get a few digs in early.
Holding. You're holding. Yeah, you're holding on 12. That's it.
Well, the final 40 seconds of this.
Both players.
England will just count down the clock with this goal that goes through. Won't make an impact on the overall result, though. But Carter, one of the highlights in this final quarter. And now what can they do defensively? Perhaps just to keep their tails up and keep New Zealand out. That'll help. That'll help. Still time on the clock for New Zealand. You think they'd score this? Give the crowd a lift. Selby Rickett sinks this one. How quick can England transition?
Oh, they've got a target in there in Fisher. Look for Nat Haythornthwaite coming out for this ball.
Last few seconds. Have they looked up at the clock? Have they seen they need to throw it in quickly? They have, but it won't end up in England hands. That was impressive from the world champions. New Zealand just showing the difference in combinations, how they can mix things up, they can change their squad. They had that awful injury going into this one to Sokolic Beatson, no longer part of this squad, how that would have affected them. None of that showed on court today. They took those new combinations and they've taken the win against England, 64-48. Tamsin Greenways, we see that huddle on court as well. For New Zealand, so many positives.
Yeah, of course. They're world champions for a reason. The fact they were able to come here with a new squad with so many key players missing and still build through that game, still bring players on, still mix up that shooting combination and get their end result. Todura will be happy with that. As for Selby, she'll be disappointed because she's on home soil. She'll have wanted the win, but this is a learning process. We have to understand what this is all about. This game, I've said before, will not matter in a couple of years' time. It's how they take away, what they take away from this. And actually, tactically, I think they did some great things against that Silver Ferns defence, which is what they'll need to do when everybody's at full strength.
A little bit of an embrace for Amy Carter. She looks up at the board. She's made her debut in the Roses dress. There is a positive for England, but for the Silver Ferns, this is their highest score against the Roses since their 65 goals in 2016. A very different era from then. The rebuild happened over just a year for them. We saw them go from the Commonwealth Games, the disappointment, to come to Liverpool and change things up as well. Those changes happened, and you can see for England as well, they haven't got the players that they had at the World Cup. But Jess Thirlby says this is about looking the ones we have here, and certainly she's got some positives from that.
Yeah, she has, definitely. I think some of those key figures are George Fisher, for me, how impressive she's been, and also some of those players that have been on the fringes that not necessarily youngsters, like your Ellie Cardwell, I think really stood up to the pressure today, showed she can shoot, showed she can move and offload the ball and be really effective against some of the best defenders in the world. So I think there's definitely some highlights to take from that, but I would like to see her over the week bring through some of all those youngsters. Let's get Fran Williams out there, let's get Quashie out there, let's get Carter out there and really see if they are going to be the players that take us forward.
Okay, let's hear from the player of the match with Gail.
Thanks very much, Caroline. I'm alongside Bailey Mays, and that was hugely impressive. You're at the beginning of a new World Cup cycle. You've got a number of players that are rested or retired. So how important is it for you as part of the next generation to get out there and prove you can do it without them?
Yeah, we're a little bit of a different looking team, but it's just about carrying on the systems and processes and the culture that we want to have in our team. So it kind of doesn't matter who's in there. We want to, set a benchmark every time we take the court.
And that was particularly evident in the shooting circle. I think every combination was used, but it all just seemed to happen as if there was no changes at all.
Yeah, like I said, we just try and stick to our structures, do the basics really well, and everyone's turning and shooting, which is awesome to see.
And for you, when you get that opportunity, how hard is it just to play your own game and not try too hard, knowing that you've just got only a certain amount of minutes to impress?
Well, that's exactly it. I think every minute that you're out there, it's about giving absolutely everything that you can. So everyone's been doing that really well.
Well, it's a great start for you. Well played today. You are our player of the match. Well played. Nolan, come and join us. I think we saw all your players, every possible combination going. We ran out of space on our pads by the end of it. That was clearly the plan. Did, in your eyes, it work for you?
Yeah, really happy happy with obviously the result, but I think the performance overall standard that we put out there, and then the transition of the new players going in, so really happy.
On your positive column, what's top of it after that?
Oh, look, I think one is just, it's a start, and it's a great start. We'll get really good confidence. Getting people out on court, there's been a few that's been sitting on the side for a very long time. Example, Bailey, so I'm really happy with that. So we'll recover really well, knowing that it's a fast back up on Wednesday.
It looks seamless, but it can't be that easy, can it? To get everybody playing the same system, the same way, especially when you've got players that have very different strengths.
Yeah, and I think that's probably our strength, you know, the uniqueness of individuals, and they play beautifully. They've got their own flair and flavour about them, and I think that's quite hard for the opposition to be able to combat. So look, hey, it's a great start for us. We know it's just a start, and looking forward to Wednesday.
And just finally, being at the start of this new World Cup cycle, I mean, Bailey sort of laughed but agreed. In their own minds, this new generation need to learn how to win, don't they, without the likes of Laura Langman, Maria Folau, and that will give them an awful lot of confidence going forward, won't it?
Yeah, very much so. Look, the likes of the Laura, the Casey, all those players, Maria, have actually put these guys in good stead and gave them experience, and also just the value of being a high-performance athlete. So you can never replace them, but I think they've learned well of some really great people.
Thanks very much. Well played today. We will see you on Wednesday. Jess, talk us through that first game on home soil. It wasn't maybe the result you wanted, but there are plenty of good things that your team put out there today, aren't there?
I think we gave a good account of ourselves in the first half, and in moments in the third quarter we pulled it back and asked a few questions of them, but ultimately we made a few too many errors. I think we could have actually come off at half-time up. But we showed some good credit to the defensive pressure at times. Tactically, there wasn't anything out there that we didn't expect, but I don't think we were quite quick enough to recognise it. So a bit hesitant sometimes in the attacking end, and defensively, we know they're quick on transition, and we got caught out a few times. But we won enough ball. It was quite even Stevens really going into half-time. But yeah, fair credit to New Zealand in their second half.
Talk to us about the impact of George Fisher, because she came on, didn't she? She gave you a real target, she lifted the whole team, and that's why you nearly went in up at half-time. How pleased were you with what she did when she came on?
Yeah, I know George can come off the bench and have impact. We saw that in South Africa, but actually I thought the combination of her with Elle gave them something to think about, gave us a bit of height in the circle, and Elle in particular is very strong, so I was pleased with that, and it was great to kind of let it run for a while. But some of these partnerships haven't played full matches, and when you're playing the world champions, sometimes you can't leave it out there the whole game. So like you say, really pleased. Amy Carter coming on, getting her first cap, and even with that 5 minutes she won a ball and contributed well, so the future's bright.
I was going to say to you, they played without fear, a lot of those players that came on towards the end, and that must give you some really big questions ahead of Wednesday, because yes, we saw them at the end of the game, they all came on together. I guess now it's about finding out what they can do from the start. Will you be tempted on Wednesday?
Yeah, we've obviously got a few combinations out there today. I think to have ran the game against the world champions and come off with all 12 of them having felt what that's like will be really valuable ahead of these next two games. So I'm sure we'll have a slightly different approach, but the margins are very tight between selections, and it's a really great place to be in. So credit to all of the girls that came off the bench, but a disappointing second half, but really pleased with how we held ourselves in that first half.
Thanks very much, Jess. No doubt a busy few days. We shall see you on Wednesday. Thank you.
Future's bright, lessons learned, netball's back, and we're enjoying studying it. Already today then wins for Jamaica and then New Zealand. This of course a round robin. All the teams will play each other before the finals day on Sunday in London. Day one done then, to Birmingham we head next, but it's a day that's seen a debut for Amy Carter. New combinations for all four sides, 3 new coaches. What more could you want? A win perhaps in the box for England. Will that come next up when they take on South Africa on Wednesday? New Zealand face Jamaica. Analysis next.
GD must have a good dog, You're too kind. Oh, it's gone straight through. Hard luck.
Match day 1 for the Nations Cup. The England Roses couldn't keep up with the world champions, the Silver Ferns. Jess Thirlby, the new England head coach, well, she was appointed in October 2019, having a chat with her captain, Nat Haythornthwaite. Lisa Alexander, Amma Agwezi with me. Some stats to throw at you, ladies. Try and absorb them quickly. And what figures stand out to you there, Lisa?
Oh, look, certainly England would be wanting to improve their shot percentage, and I think actually in that first half they might have rued those chances because they actually made opportunities for themselves and could have been much more in the contest actually than they were in that first half. So, you know, there's some opportunities there straight away, and I think obviously getting rid of some of those really unforced errors, handling errors, just putting the ball in the wrong spot, those sorts of things I think that Jess can do some fine-tuning for.
Yeah, well, Jess was disappointed with the second half, and they could have got off to a quicker start. Which player, Ahmed, stood out for you from the England side?
I think there were a number of players, the combination of Francis and Shimin in the back and rotating positions that they were playing, but Amy Carter coming on for her first cap, she played amazingly. Defensively, she was really good, and she was very confident. I think Tamsin mentioned in commentary that as a new player, opposition haven't really sighted you, and so you have a little bit of confidence and players don't know how to play against you, but I think for her first cap, she did really well.
Yeah, it's not easy to get footage of players sometimes, is it, Lisa, as a coach?
We've been very fortunate. We've had training matches against Amy Carter because we've played Manchester Thunder. So I've actually known about her a little bit earlier. And I wasn't surprised to see her really adapt her game to the chaotic nature of international netball. She's a great competitor and we saw that out there.
Yeah, just A couple of highlights of her play today, and a dynamic player, Amma.
Definitely, she's very slight, but she's very strong. There we saw her working hard to get a tip on the circle edge, and here just putting side pressure, forcing her player wide, and then coming through to tip the ball and follow up.
She's a player for the future, and we're looking at these players for the next 4 years, because this is the start of a new international cycle. So she'll be up against Poi, won't she, going forward over the next 4 years?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I just loved Poi. I think she came on beautifully in that second half, put her speed, but what she's done is she's got more composure now about her game. She had a little bit of time with the Collingwood Magpies in the Australian competition, the Suncorp Super Netball, and I think she's really taken her game to another level, and she's enjoying it. She's revelling being around those really experienced players.
Yeah, the setup, the base for the Silver Ferns, it feels very solid at the moment.
It does, and I think their coach, Dame Nolene Tarua, is really good at that, establishing a great culture, and so lots of players have come in and it's almost been seamless. It's not very often that you see a coach make wholesale changes in terms of changing combinations every quarter, and they just able to deliver and do the job. England did get all their players on court, but they made a wholesale change where they brought all their players on in the last quarter.
Get them on for 2 minutes.
Which is very difficult for team players to do. You kind of want to come in and just drop people in so that they're supported by players who've been out there and getting the experience of the game itself. But Nolene was able to just drop players in and change combinations, and they handled it really well.
Yeah, as you mentioned, she's changed the culture of the Silver Ferns side, as have you, Lisa, with the Aussie Diamonds over the last few years. We're going to tell you what's coming up on Sky Sports. So much to get through. We're starting with the cricket. And it's South Africa, England on top. The third test, day 5, 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. Moving on to the World Cup under-19s. India taking on Japan at 7:45, and it's Australia, England as well on the other channel. And the golf, a very early start. Set your alarms. Lisa, you'll have to set your alarm for that. It's 4 a.m. on the Sky Sports Golf Channel. The final day of the Amiga Dubai Desert Classic. And West Brom take on Stoke tomorrow. That's the Monday Night Football at 7:30. We will be back. It's Jamaica-New Zealand, that first game on Wednesday. We're in Birmingham at 5:15, and England take on South Africa at 7:45. We've got a couple of intruders in the studio, but we're Lisa, you're going to be in Birmingham on Wednesday. Tell us, from the from the 2 games that we've seen, the 4 teams, a standout player for you today.
Oh, that's a really, really difficult one today. Look, I really enjoyed Dixon for Jamaica. I think the play, her composure, the way she crafted her game both defensively and in attack was superb. Seeing her back up again on Wednesday night will be the interesting thing. Can Jamaica back up their performance today? That's what I'm interested in seeing as well.
And I know you want to mention the charity match you've got for Australia are playing against who at the beginning of March?
Yes, look, on Sunday, March the 1st, the Australian Diamonds are going to be playing a Suncorp Super Netball All-Stars match, and all of the proceeds are going to our bushfire relief, and we want everyone obviously buying tickets in Australia but also watching on TV.
Yeah, that's a fantastic thing to do. Lisa, it's been brilliant having you. We will see you on Wednesday, and Amma, thanks so much for your company. 2 brilliant games and victories for Jamaica and for New Zealand. Until Wednesday, we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Bring you flowers in the pouring rain. Living without you is driving me insane. I'll bring you flowers, they'll make your day. Those tears you cry, I'll dry them all away, away. I'll bring you flowers in the pouring rain. Living without you is driving me insane. I'll bring you flowers, they'll make your day. Those tears you cry, I'll dry them all away, away.
Sky Sports. Feel it all. This programme is brought to you by Vitality Health and Life Insurance and Investments.
Handball penalty. She's doing it again. Am I the only one that knows the rules?